On today's show, we are talking to Toyota Verblitz star Reniel Hugo. Reniel played a number of games for Western Province, the Blue Bulls, and the Free State Cheetahs in Currie Cup, Super Rugby, and Pro 14. He started his career after school playing varsity cup rugby for Marties and Tuks, amassing almost 40 games. He will be sharing with us on his thoughts on the intricacies of lock play, the Rugby World Cup, and rugby in Japan in general, as well as adding his views on how important it is to also chase an academic career while playing rugby. So let's hear from Reniel. Let's go. South African systems as a junior player, currently playing in Japan. Can I ask you maybe to kick off just, I don't know, with a small summary of what your journey was out of school and how you ended up being in Japan now, almost a decade later?
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. It's really nice. So obviously I was schooled in Stellenbosch at Paul Roos Gymnasium, and at Craven Week I got a contract with Western Province to go to the Western Province Rugby Institute for 1 year. So I took that. So my 19 year was at Western Province, and then in my 19 year I got a new 2-year contract at Western Province. I signed as well. Obviously then starting to study at Stellenbosch for my accounting degree, and then after my 21 year got offered another contract, but then I had to choose between my studies and my rugby that time, because it's like a senior contract. So I decided let me just finish my studies. So I turned down the offer and just played varsity cup for Marties and some club rugby. Then I finished my studies here. That was 2013. At the end of 2013, I received the offer from the Blue Bulls to come and play there, and I was fortunate enough to do my honours at Tuks during that first year. We had like an agreement where I didn't have to play like any Super Rugby or Currie Cup or any of that stuff. I can just focus on my studies that my first year at the Bulls, and play for Tuks, like in the Varsity Cup and the club, the league there, the Carlton Cup. So that was quite a good year for me. I finished my studies in 2014, my honours there, and then I signed a new Blue Bulls contract after that for 2 years. So in 2015 I played at the Blue Bulls. Things didn't really go that well there. So I got contract offer from the Cheetahs, and I was really excited about that, about the prospect of playing. And then luckily the Blue Bulls gave me a chance and released me to go and play there. And I was 3 years at the Cheetahs, played 70 odd games. Was really happy, very lucky with injuries. And after the Cheetahs, I got off at Toyota Verblitz in Japan, and that's where I'm currently playing.
Yes, you said something that's very interesting, and it fascinates me that you left school in the era where everyone was running after professional contracts as youngsters without really caring about studies or going to university or so on. And especially you were at the institute at a time where not a lot of guys studied while they did that, even if it was part-time. But you chose to do the varsity route and play rugby almost as, I like to call it, the old school players, guys who played rugby because they were at university. So you chose that route over the professional route. Is there a reason or something that inspired you to do that?
Yeah, I think to me, rugby has never been like until like matric, I've never really thought of pursuing rugby as a career for me, and I think that's what always wanted me to go and study, just to have a background. And then when I thought about it, it was like when I have a degree and everything like that, I could and play rugby, then I'll enjoy my rugby much more, because it's a lot less pressure on you to perform. Because so my outlook on rugby at the moment is I just play to enjoy it. It's really nice to do as a career. I'd rather play rugby than sit in an office right now. But so I literally just enjoy every moment of rugby. And I told my agent, like, the day that I don't enjoy playing rugby anymore, that I'm tired of all that, then I'll start going to the office. And I think that was one of the main reasons for studying, because I knew that rugby isn't a long-term thing, and So yeah, at the moment, I'm very happy about the way that I took, or the road that I took. There was times when I was younger and I was still studying. There was chances that came my way, like Super Rugby debuts that I could have got, and I just had to say no, no. And then I was always thinking like, geez, am I making a mistake? But at the end of the day, I'm really happy about how everything turned out.
So the fact that you chose to delay the full-time thing has actually empowered you a lot more with choices. I mean, you're actually in a position now where you can call the shots on your career. You know, if, as you said, if you don't feel like playing anymore, you can make that transition a lot easier because you've got the qualification. I mean, you've got an honours in accounting.
Yeah.
Have you done your articles yet, or is that something that's going to follow, or what's your plans there?
Yeah, that's obviously something that still has to follow. While I was at the Cheetahs, PricewaterhouseCoopers actually helped me quite a lot. So I worked there. I was an employee at PricewaterhouseCoopers for 2 years in 2016 and 2017. So I finished about 1,000 hours of my articles already, but I still have 2,500 to go. But yeah, it's a good start. And like instead of going for 3 years now, I think I'll be able to finish in 2 years when I finish my rugby career. So it's like a year that I got taken that I have to article less when I finish, which is going to help me quite a lot, I think, in a few years' time when I stop.
Yeah, and I know one of the biggest issues with transitioning from rugby into the real world. We had Carl Brown a couple of weeks ago, and he spoke about that transition back into real life. Is even though you are qualified and it'd be relatively easier for you to get that job, you've still got to go from the highs of earning, you know, X amounts of thousands a month, playing rugby overseas in Japan, being able to travel on weekends and breaks, to being a desk jockey, you know, almost being a junior in a setup where you're going to be reporting to guys younger than you. So, you know, how are you going to do that transition? How do you feel about that?
Yes, obviously, I think it's a massive privilege to be a professional rugby player. Everyone says it's like a dream job. You get your days where it's not always that easy. Yeah, the exposure you get, the places in the world that you see, the traveling, all that stuff just makes it so much nicer. And I know the transition is going to be big, especially like going to an office every day, 8 to 5 job. It takes a lot out of you. Like in rugby, you don't really have an 8 to 5 straight through. You train a few hours and you've got off 2 or 3 hours and you train again. So while I was working in Bloemfontein, I actually saw like a full day job is really tiring. I told myself numerous times, I don't know how you go and gym in the morning at 6 o'clock and then work 8 to 5. So there's going to be a lot of like things that I'm going to work on when I start working. It's going to be tough to make the transition, but I'm looking forward to that next part, hopefully in quite a long time.
Yeah, I mean, Corne, you walked a pretty similar route, you know, Stellenbosch province. You luckily you were spared Pretoria, but you ended up straight in Bloemfontein, and then also ended up playing rugby overseas. I don't know if there's anything you want to weigh in on that journey.
Well, luckily I studied, but I only got selected for province when I was well into my honours year, so 4th year at Stellenbosch. So I was lucky in the sense that I could finish my degree as well. But then from there, obviously going full professional rugby, I do believe there's also something that adds to your development as a person to be able to travel the world, see different cultures, and experience different sort of environments, meet different people. So yes, you come back with a certain amount of deficit in terms of career-wise. You maybe walk into a business, and yes, you'll be older and you'll start at the bottom. But I do think that experience, the personal growth as a human being suits you well. You'll be able to, if you have the expertise or the degree as Reniel does, to really do well in the business world. So I will differ. And that's what I like about the current Varsity Cup system, where unions, you would know, take hands with, say, Western Province and Marties gives a guy opportunity to study and still play rugby. I think that's massive for the young guys these days.
Yeah, especially with the new way the contracting model is going, with unions only allowed 45 seniors over the age of 21, and they're being capped on budget for juniors. It's going to move a lot more in that direction. So it's funny how the wheels turned. You know, like 20, 30 years ago, when I was a student, not 20 years ago as a student, but
20, 30 years ago.
No, not 30 either. But I remember those days there were no contracts. So, Reniel, I think you guys were sort of in that first generation of players who got contracts out of school. Not that I was a student much more before you. I was a little bit in between Corne and Reniel. No one had contracts, but you knew who the top guys were. They were students, they were studying, they got their degrees, played for Marties 1 or UCT, got selected for province, and then built their careers from there. And then we moved into the place where every kid who could pass a ball in a matric side who played at a Wilderklawe festival or played Craven got a contract. And now we're moving back to a place where you're almost better suited if you can study. Even if it's a technical degree, and you have the opportunity to play in a varsity cup competition. So, Reniel, you played for Marties for a good couple of years. I think you're one of the most capped Marties, aren't you? Varsity cup level.
I didn't actually play that much games for Marties at varsity cup level because I only played 2 years. I think there's players that played for much longer than me, but I also played 2 years for Tuks. So I've got quite a few varsity cup games.
Not necessarily for Marties, but
varsity cup games.
So if you've got, about that specific element of your game, how much did that benefit you with your rugby specifically? And not necessarily the game itself, but with building your whole career around rugby, about just maintaining that patience to say, listen, I still got my end goal in mind. The process is going to be a little bit longer, but it's going to end up benefiting me more than trying to race into the first best opportunity.
Yeah. To me, I've always said varsity cup was the best thing that's happened to me personally. I wouldn't have been where I am today if it wasn't for the varsity cup. And I don't know. I just had this thing in me the whole time while I was at university. I just wanted to finish my degree, and then the rugby, everything will follow. And things work out pretty well for me. I'm very fortunate. But I really think being patient throughout my career with the studies and the rugby also, it's definitely going to help me a lot. I've always had that mindset that I just wanted to do well in the rugby while I'm studying as well. And my studies was very important for me. I worked really, really hard. And I think with this new contracting model, it's actually going to be, in a few years' time, the younger guys will see that it's actually going to be better for them, so that they are forced to study now, so that they can just get a degree behind their name. And then I think the rugby will also just grow and be, because you also learn a lot about discipline and stuff when you have to study. Those times after rugby practice when you're really tired, and the professional guys that don't study anything, they just go home, they watch TV and stuff, but you as a student, you have to go and sit in front of your books when you're tired and drink some Red Bulls and plays and just to stay awake. So it teaches you a different discipline that just normal professional rugby players don't really have. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I once did a whole bottle of Bio-Plus one night to get through an exam, and I know it works in the moment, but you feel terrible the next day. But so I don't know, Corne, how does today's pathway differ from when you were a student? There was no varsity cup, and so you obviously had different challenges in your time to get in the limelight and play yourself into an opportunity to get selected.
Well, look, I was before the era of every kid getting a contract out of school, and at that stage, club rugby in the Western Province was still very strong. Like Tygerberg, Deribel, all of it was very strong. So the local club competition was very strong in the Western Cape, and so I got pulled straight out of Marches into Western Province Curry Cup. I didn't do the whole under 19, under 21 thing because I believe the club competition was so strong. So in a sense, I was almost where this contracting system is now. And like I said, I was just fortunate that I could finish my degree. And at a stage where I was maybe a bit older, a bit more mature, and I knew kind of how to handle myself with a professional contract. With that in mind, I think that my timing was just better. It was fortunate in a way.
Okay, and you luckily finished your degree before heading overseas.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe Reniel, maybe we can shift a bit to the World Cup.
Yes.
I would love your input on. Obviously, Ergis Snyman got in man of the match yesterday. Tell us a bit your thoughts on especially the locks going into the quarterfinal. Who do you think Rassie is going to go with, and who's going to miss out?
Especially with Loet de Jager having played himself a week ago as well. So
yeah, and
I think the World Cup in Japan is just amazing. I'm heading back next week to Japan. I'm going to watch a few games. I'm really excited to go. The vibe there is amazing, and it's actually, to me personally, it's so nice to see Japan doing so well because everyone that knows I'm playing my rugby in Japan thinks it's such a walkover and that it's soft on your body and such bad rugby. But now with the Japan national team beating Ireland, looking to top their pool at a World Cup, it's massive for the Japanese culture, and the rugby there is growing immensely. And I'm really looking forward to the next season playing there. Lots of big international players also coming to Japan next season to come and play the trade there. Like Kieran Reid is joining our club. So for me, it's going to be massive to just see what he does and how he plays. And Vali LaRue is also there, Gio Aplon. We really got big names at our clubs. But shifting to the Springboks, I really think, they're playing really well. The locks, especially, it's going to be really tough because one of them is going to miss out. And with Loet just coming back from his injury and playing at base rugby now, going back to it's almost playing like he was playing in 2015. So I think definitely that Rassie is going to pick him at number 5. Eben will definitely be there at number 4. And then you can't leave a guy like Ergis Snyman out of the 23. He just makes such a massive impact. His ball carrying ability is crazy. His offloading, he's got that X factor. And I really feel sorry for a guy like Franco Mostert who's been the starting number 5 for the last 2 years. And now in the World Cup quarterfinal, that's just my opinion. There's one guy he's going to miss out. And I think he brings a lot of work rate and stuff like that. But I just think at the moment with Loet's form, I don't think that you can leave Loet out. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Well, against Italy, Rassie went for 4 locks. I think he had Franco and Loet coming off the bench. I can't remember the match state 23, but there were 4 locks in the 23. Yeah. So they're almost starting to compete with loose forwards.
Yeah.
Because Franco and Peter Steff are versatile. So, you're in a position where you can select them. And I also don't think the backup Lucy's are necessarily pushing that hard for places.
The thing is, we went for a 6-2 split in that game. So, but I don't think, honestly, in a playoff match like a quarterfinal, that they'll go for a 6-2. I just think because you've got to have a scrum off on the bench, and then Frankenstein will probably on the bench. But now I think with a guy like Damien Willemse that got there, I think they'll go for a 4-3 and then put Damien Willemse, Frankenstein, and maybe Kobus Reiner or Yankees on the bench. I don't think they'll go for a 6-2 again because it's too risky if Andre Pollard gets injured in the first few minutes and you put Frankenstein on, then you only have one scrum off backing up. Especially if it's Herschel Yankees who's can actually only play scrum off. So but it's going to be tough to see. But I think at the moment, in games like these, I know it sounds cliche, but it doesn't. I don't think those guys, they worry too much. They want to play, but I think the team and the country is bigger than the individual at the moment. So I think Franco Morstead is going to be really upset if he misses out, but I think he'll know that team comes first.
Yes, of course.
Because he's still a massive part of the Springbok squad, and like we're talking now as if he's going to miss out. We don't even know, but yeah, I think it's going to be tough to see one of the locks missing out in the 23.
Maybe take us a bit deeper into that world of locks. Say, what is the difference between a 4 and a 5 lock? If there is any difference, or what used to be the difference, and then let's start there. What for the listeners, that sort of the typical 4 and a 5 lock? How do they differ?
All right, so in South African terms, the 4 lock would be more like the physical one, the big carries, hitting the rucks very hard, not like primarily a line-out jumper. He would normally like be the heavier lock between the two, and he'll scrum on the right side of the scrum behind the tight head, to put a bit more like kilograms and stuff behind the tight head prop. And then the number 5 lock will be the line-out operator. The guy will be more of like a link between the forwards and the backs, organize a bit, and obviously calling the lineouts and running the lineouts. In Japan, it doesn't quite work like that. So in Japan, the number 4 is the guy that scrums on the left hand side, and the number 5 is the guy that scrums on the right hand side. So one game I'm number 4 if I scrum on the left. They make massive stuff about this. And then on the next game, like when you scrum on the right, you're number 5. And then there's been games where when you run on, they only see you scrum on the right and you've got a number 4 on your back, and they're like, what? Why aren't you number 5? So yeah, and they just have like a different job. Or not different job, but it doesn't really matter if you're 4 or 5 there who runs the lineup. But mostly in South Africa, the number 5 is the lineout operator, and the number 4 is the enforcer.
So typically like Bucky's Puerto and
Yeah.
used to be.
Yes.
It works so well.
Yeah.
So if say you're the coach of the team, and I give you carte blanche, you can order any lock pairing you want. Is that the kind of same? You'll go for the same model, a guy that's bigger, that can carry, that can scrum, and then an aerial guy. Or where do you think the game is moving to?
Yeah, obviously you need both. To me, I don't really think that makes such a massive difference. If your lock's got to be physical, and I think a guy like Brother Talik is a very good rugby player because he's very physical and his skill set is next level. He can offload, and I think just a guy like Erke Snyman to me, he's like the modern day the lock. He carries, he runs, he tackles, and it's not like certainly Bakkies Botha. He wasn't like he wasn't a very fast player, but Erke, I think he's got quite good acceleration, and he's a really good lock. I think he can be one of the world's best in a few years' time.
So we're evolving to a hybrid who can be physical, he can clean rucks, but he can run, he's good in the air.
Yeah.
Basically, he can do everything.
Yeah.
Play 7 if you need him to.
Yeah.
Type of lock.
Yeah, no, definitely, and he gets around the field. Most, in my like a few seasons ago, in a few teams I've played, like the locks were almost always just like staying between the 22s or like the 15 meters. Sorry, staying in the middle. You just have to work here, but now the last couple of years, like the locks run everywhere. You have to sum up a game and use your head and scan up, and then you play wherever you want to. So it also just depends on the teams that you're playing. But yeah, I also think it's a thing about work rate, and if you can get around the park, it's better for you.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about, you mentioned Japan, or the growth, or where they came from and where they are now. What would you, if you can pinpoint 1 or 2 things that made them successful in terms of, I don't know, maybe the club structure, the way they recruited players, that they just throw money at the clubs, or how do you think it came about?
Yeah, I think to me personally, I think the most important thing about the success story of Japanese rugby is how committed and hard working the Japanese are. like the Japanese rugby players, they come straight out of university, but they just want to improve every day. So, for instance, a training session is 45 minutes, and after that 45 minutes, you are so tired you can't do anything more. You'll never see a Japanese boy just going and taking off his boots and sitting. That's what the foreigners do. So the Japanese boys, after that 45 minutes, they'll do like 10, 15 minutes extras. They call it it's like a 15-minute shift for extras, where you can work on your personal skill, individual skills that you want to do. And never ever do you see a Japanese guy not wanting to improve and learn more. And I think they will never complain about going overtime. And what also helps is they learn a lot about the foreigners that plays in Japan. So a lot of big names play there, and they want to learn from them. And the thing about being a foreigner in Japan is you also have to be able to, and you have to mix in with the Japanese players and teach them stuff. So for me, at my club, it's part of my job to also teach some of the Japanese locks at my club about lineouts and about kickoffs and just techniques and stuff that they're doing wrong. They just want to learn, and it's in South Africa. If a senior guy would tell you to do this and this and this the whole time, a junior guy will think he's arrogant and stuff like that. But the Japanese want their foreigners to teach the Japanese boys some of the techniques and help them. They'll take in everything, and they'll never say no to anything that you tell them. And I think that's definitely one of the success stories, is their work rate and their commitment to just be better every day.
That's amazing. So is that transfer of experience and knowledge physically part of your job description, of your contract, or is it just sort of a spoken expectation?
No. It's not part of the job description at all. It's just when you get there, you'll just hear your agent and stuff will tell you that it's part of a mutual thing that the guys just know, because the Japanese are such good learners and such hard-working people. They enjoy that foreigners help them to improve their skills and help them with their abilities and stuff.
I find that fascinating, because I'm very interested in that self-development and self-promotion of skills side of the game and life in general. And when Gert Small was still with us, I worked a lot with him, and he did a trip to Japan, and he came back and showed us a photograph of a training session at a Japanese. I think it was a junior side. It wasn't even a senior team, and they were busy with a captain's run. So only the starting 15 were on the field, and the subs were on the side of the field. But the coach was busy explaining something to the team on the field as they were going through their paces. And all the subs were standing in a straight line next to each other on the touch line, watching and listening to what was being explained, so that they would be part of the learning experience. I mean, if you're standing next to a field at a semi-professional, even professional team at junior level, you often see that when the first 15 are running, and the coach is explaining to them, they passing the ball next to the field, one guy's drinking water, another oaks. I've even seen guys on their phones on the side of the field. So it's amazing you talking about that. And you also mentioned the varsity culture being a strong reason for rugby in Japan being so popular. Tell us a bit about Japanese university rugby. Is it something you've been exposed to? And how did they manage to grow the game at varsity level? And how, why is rugby a popular varsity sport as opposed to a baseball or a football or something?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think after that win the World Cup in 2015, that Japan beat Springboks.
Which one? I don't know. Which one are you talking about?
I think really, as I hear in Japan, I think that was like a shift in Japanese people's minds, where they actually saw that they can compete against other countries. So I think rugby in Japan was always just a sport, and some of them would play it, but it's more soccer and football and baseball and basketball and stuff that they play there. But after that, I think it changed the whole mindset of the Japanese, especially after the announcement that the World Cup would be in Japan in 2019. They did a lot to promote rugby in Japan. So, for instance, start with the rules. Well, when we'll play a game and someone will like knock a ball on the big screen, you'll see knock on red, scrum blue, and then they'll like in Japanese explain what a knock on is, and someone will like say it over a microphone. So all
education.
so they will educate the crowd, and
we need to start doing that in South Africa.
yeah, so that was just some of the things I saw. So how the university system work and the whole contracting system in Japan. So when you when you're out of school, you go to university and you do your degree and whatever, and you can't, for a Japanese guy, most of all the clubs there are it's not clubs, it's companies. So you play for a company, and you can only go to the company if you have your degree, and you've got to like sign up to work for that company. And if you work for that company, then you play for that company. So there's like a, say, 0.5% of the Japanese players is actually professional rugby players. So if you're a professional rugby player, then you can go to a company as a professional, almost like a foreigner, but you're a Japanese, but then you didn't have to go, you didn't have gone to university and studied and worked at the company. So you'll be handled as a professional like us foreigners are. But if you're a company worker and you play and you play for the company, like, say for instance, there can be 6 foreigners in the 23 now. So 16 out of the 17 Japanese guys are company workers. So on the off days, they'll go to the company and they'll work there. There's about 8 of the Japanese guys that's currently in the World Cup, or 10. They are like company employees, or 10, maybe 15. So they, on their off days, they go to company, they work at the company. So they'll study for something. So then you'll try to go to Toyota to work in like a Toyota, and then if you get if you go to if you get the job at Toyota, then you'll be able to like come to the rugby program, and they'll select you, and then so like Monday, Tuesdays you train rugby, on a Wednesday and Thursday you'll maybe work, on Thursday afternoon you'll train, then if you play. So that's how the whole system works in Japan. So you work for the company. So to come back to the university thing, university rugby has also got very big because the guys at university see that they want to play for the top companies, so they play really hard at university level, and there's lots of crowds that go and watch those games. They don't really play at the big stadiums that we see in the World Cup now. Those are 50,000 seaters, but they play at about 15,000-20,000 seaters, and it's almost packed every weekend. So it's really nice. Yeah. And also a thing about that in Japanese rugby, like the company, our league and the university, you always play double headers. You won't really get a single game at one venue, so there'll always be a double header, like 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, which also help attract more people, and the crowds get bigger. Yes,
that's amazing. It's an interesting commercial model. It's maybe something that a lot of the other countries can learn from. A lot of people are talking about opportunities for our school leavers going to France, and our guys getting poached by French clubs, but something that the media is not talking about is Japanese universities signing South African schoolboys. And we actually had, I think, 2 or 3 boys who were in our school system who signed for Japanese universities now, out of school. So I don't know if that's something that you're aware of or that you know that's happening, but that could also, you mentioning now that they've got that stream straight into the company. Is that something that you see growing and increasing, or are they a country that tries to invest in their local talent primarily?
Yeah, so I've heard about there's a few schoolboys that's going to Japan. I don't actually know how it's going to work. I know in the universities in Japan there is like a few like Australians and Tongans, Samoans. You get lots of Fijians and stuff, or like and Tongans, Samoans there in the universities who go study there, and then straight from there they go work in the company. So they can like by the time that they finish university they can speak fluent Japanese, and they just go to the company and work. But for me, I haven't. It's going to be strange to see a South African playing at the university rugby there. I don't actually know how it's going to work. I don't know if the guys know that you can't really just go and play professionally at a company while you are at the university. It's not like going to Marty's and then playing for Marty's 2 years, and then you get pulled up to the Western Province while still studying. There you first have to finish your studies, and then after that, then you'll be able to get a job at the company. And then you play at the company. So I don't know if they are going to be handled as company workers then, or they're going to be one of those 1% guys who's professional rugby players. So for instance, 2 years at university, and there's one company see, okay, no, we want you as a professional rugby player. So I think that's what they're hoping for. I think that's the route they're going to go for, because it's going to be a different case to see if they first finish their studies, and then if they're company workers, say for instance at Toyota, so they work on their off days at the fabric, and yeah, so I'm actually excited to see how that's going to turn out.
And I mean, you with the journey you took, would you recommend, if a South African boy gets an opportunity to go to a UCT or a Stellenbosch or Tikkies or whatever it might be, to go and play rugby on a bursary, or he gets an opportunity from a Japanese university, what type of advice would you give to them? Or is that a loaded question?
No, it's not loaded. I think everyone's got their own opinion. For me personally, I think I'd rather go for the safer option and play it, or go and study at Marty's in my own language, and then get your degree here and start going through the system. I think it's going to it's much easier. Japanese is a different. It's a much different like culture and stuff like that. So I don't know if I would have been able to go to university in Japanese in my first year, because I think in their first year they're going to be loaded with Japanese lessons, and I don't think they're going to study that much. I don't really know anything about that at the moment. So I think the safer option that I would have taken is stay here and just finish my degree here, play for Marty's, hope to get in the junior system at Western Province, and yeah. But on the other side, I also think the guys going to France and at Montpellier University, and I think that's also a good thing for them, especially with the under-19 league falling away. So it's different. I think every person has got their own opinion and stuff. But for me personally, I think I'll keep it the safe way.
Yeah,
safe route.
And part of what you're saying now falls into advice that I often offer schoolboys is a lot of them make life decisions around rugby instead of doing it the other way around. So you made a lifestyle decision, and you made a lifestyle decision in which rugby still fits into the picture, and it's worked out for you. So too many guys choose everything around what rugby opportunity they've got, and 2 years later they've actually got nothing. They don't have 2 years worth of degree behind them, they don't have rugby anymore, and they've almost got to backtrack again. So what I often tell guys is decide where you're going to feel comfortable, feel safe, be happy, make decisions like, do you want to be at the coast because you like surfing? Do you want to go to Joburg because you want to be able to go to the bushveld and hunt on weekends? Do you want to stay close to family? Do you want to get away from family for a bit? Those are the lifestyle calls you've got to make, and then the rugby fits into that picture.
No.
So what you're saying, you're almost saying the same thing, go somewhere where you feel safe first, and somewhere that's a bit more comfortable.
Yeah, yes. Something I'm actually thinking about is also something that touched me quite a bit was a few years ago there was a former Blue Bulls player who actually came and spoke to us about career decisions while I was still studying. I was quite younger then, and he just encouraged everyone to finish their studies before playing professionally. And the reason he told us that he started studying and he got called up to the Bulls, and he just dropped his studies, dropped out of class and played at the Bulls, got very nice contracts, played and earned quite a lot of money. He said when he looked into his cupboard, he had 3 or 4 G-Star jeans and this leather jacket, and he would buy himself this TV and all these appliances, and got an injury, didn't get another contract, finished his career, and he didn't save any money actually. And then he didn't finish his studies. He was 28, 29 years old. He didn't want to go back to university, and then he had to go back and had to work at an insurance company and earn about 8,000 rand a month. And he said that was with a family that he's had to start off. So
That's right.
and that also actually scared something in me that I don't want to be in that position. And you could see when he talked to us, he spoke out of his heart about just like he said, if you just want to have an impact on our lives and try and like encourage us to finish our studies.
Yeah.
And because he doesn't want other guys to be in his position, he wants us to learn out of his mistakes. And that was something that touched me really hard. And I think that's also why I always just wanted to finish my studies, and then play.
Okay, great. So Cornay's got to head off for his physio appointment because of his touch rugby injuries. So that's what happens when you play touchies after a career. So Reniel, it's been great to have you with us. I think we normally ask guys to end off with a lesson or a story, but I think you've actually shared quite a lot of lessons in your chat from the start. So good luck with the rest of the career in Japan, whether it ends there or ends somewhere else.
Thanks.
And enjoy the rest of the World Cup. Hopefully you get to see the Boks all the way to the final on that side. So,
yeah, I actually went yesterday and bought myself a Springbok jersey.
Nice.
I think it's the first jersey that I bought myself.
So you must maybe also take it upon yourself to pass along that message you got from the Blue Bulls player, because it's fine young players hearing it from Henri or from whoever at the top administrator level, but maybe you've got a role to play for younger players to go try and hit that message home with them as well, because they need to hear it from role models or players that's still in the system. So look for opportunities like that. I think it would be great to install some of that knowledge back into the young players.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Reniel.
Dankie.
Shot run.
And we'll put some links on below where people can maybe catch up with you, Johan, and you, Marita, and see what you guys are up to, and also Calix, and how they can reach out and support you guys. Thanks, Kunai. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Good to have you here.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye.